Welcome to the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Yes, it's again a day. And they said August was going to be a hot month. So what does that mean? A lot of stuff happening, and keeping in mind that this battle is for the hearts and minds, for the soul of the planet. It's not all about dropping bombs, missiles. We did catch a missile in a Florida airport yesterday and being shipped in a cargo container. One report said it was an Amazon container. Interesting enough. And it's not about, armies crossing the border, though troops are in movement. It's about changing what all of society is all about. So that's why, I titled the series of articles I'm writing, Worldwide Civil War, Us versus. And to look at the world from a standpoint of them, right? They are trying to create, number one, a much smaller population on the world. They've openly said so. It's part of their rules for their side. It's part of their magic. They consider it magic. You can say it's a reality generation, using the ability for our minds to focus on what we see as reality. In the movies The Matrix, it's termed The Matrix, right? So what everyone is looking at is a representation of reality, let alone that they are plugged in as batteries in a matrix system to generate power for the system. Now, we look at that figuratively or literally, because in many ways we literally are plugged in and generating energy for them to use. So when we look at part of the battles that are going on, the front lines, one of those is public perception. And in war, sometimes you're presenting a certain position on things because it's a tactical maneuver. So one of those tactical maneuvers that's taking place today has to do with Steve Bannon being arrested and Trump coming out and basically separating himself from Bannon. So we're going to talk about that, but before we get into that, let's get into some of the more housekeeping situations. So first of all, on the donation front, I have had one commitment. Someone contacted me, say that they're going to send me $100. Thank you very much. So I'm going to. He's sending by Western Union, so I expect that may come in sometime by tomorrow, which is great. So that type of donation, definitely covers a bill. Keeping at it. Basically, the way this is, I've shaken down all my expenses. It turns out is I need to get about $1,500 a month to really cover things. Since I'm not getting money at this time from any other source, it has to come from my donations and from anyone else that I am contacting, people, friends, and seeing where we're going. But the situation is worldwide. I do have on the gold grain coin front some very good news that looks like some positioning that we've been taking place, that we've been setting things up to go in a different direction, to not quite different direction, but enhancing the things that we're doing. One is distributors. The other is we're looking at some people that already have a bullion bank that we've been discussing with. It. They see that they like the project. We've been discussing this with them since the very beginning, and they want to help. And so there is a proposal on the table there. So this does mean that the future looks bright. On what does that, how does that turn into certain things? How do things maneuver? These are steps that we're going to have to take to get there. I think maybe by next month, this will all be resolved, and donations will be not as, let's say, it will always be important, because when you have skin in the game, you want to be involved, right? So it's one thing to listen, and another thing when you donate, another thing when you click like, share, spread the word. So these levels of involvement help to shape the reality, step by step. So this is why we can see the reality changing in front of us, but we have to watch as part of this grand awakening, this great awakening that's happening in front of our eyes, that we have to see that what has happened. We have to look into all the dark places. A lot of people might want to say, well, let's just let that, slide. Let's push that away. Let's just focus on the good and not really recognize, what we have to deal with. No, we've got to take it out all the way down to its roots. We have to find any seeds that were out there and remove them. All of it, we have to basically absorb what we have been involved with completely, so that we know not to let it happen again. So again, the people that have been giving donations, thanks again. I am definitely still in need. I need to get up at least about $400. So with the commitment of $100, that will carry me. If I get $300 more in, that will pretty much carry me for the next week. And then it'll be about food, and then food until we cross the border of around the 20th of next month. And as I said, hopefully by then it's not an issue. I do think, though, we need to focus on how we organize. So let's move into that with Life Force. Please get the Life Force app. You can go into the Play Store or Apple Store and download the app for Life Force. If I suggest you do that, and then if you'd like, you can also go on to the websites and do it from there. So let me bring that up right now. Go. So this is lifeforce.global/lifeforce.cc. Takes you to the same place. There is mission number 2. You can see missions up here on the top here. It says missions, and it basically talks about the details of what is in the mission. So, and these are basically like Twitter storm type of missions to get the information out there and trending. So this is also a video that is we need to tweet the video, and I'm also suggesting we tweet the actual information it's talking about.
Notice the Life Force Plan of Action, August 13th, 2020.
So this is a video, right? And so you can see take action here. This link down below. This is on the Speak project. So we'll click on that and go over to the resource. I have it loaded up on one of the pages here already, but this is the other link I think you need to tweet. So to tweet both of these, you can tweet and then make a comment on the tweet, of the other link. So you do one in the video, and then second you do this. This is the details of what you need to do in fighting for our rights as human beings, not to be forced into vaccinations across the board. So these are the tools that you need right? That you can send these letters to your the people in your school board, for example. You need to know how to address it. Let them know that they are going to be responsible. This is the science. This is the things that are basically being said in the past were the science. How come these facts of science are thrown away, right? What is different now? Is the virus any different now than it was in 2005 when Fauci said that hydrochloroquine was a cure and a vaccine? He called it a vaccine. So again, all this information is there for us to use. So I encourage you to go ahead and go through this and use it. There's another one, the American Association of Physicians and Surgeons. They basically said masks do not work, even for surgeries. They're wearing masks in surgeries. Yes, it catches some of the droplets that coming from the surgeon to the patient that he's working on, but in essence, it doesn't catch everything. So, anyway, we have all this detail here. This is the things you need to use for getting together all the information. So, please go ahead and tweet that. So, I'll give you an example. This is now, we were asked to also create a Life Force Twitter account, and so I did. Funny thing is, my password keeps, for some reason gets lost or not unknown. So this is I just tweeted it out right here. Here I go. So look, this is the YouTube video. Underneath the YouTube video, you make a comment. I'm going to go and grab the details from here, copy, and paste it over here. So this is the actual information. This makes it easier for people, right? Now they can easily find the information that's talked about on the video. So there, your tweet was sent. Go to view. So there we go. So that is the mission number 2. So please complete that. I'm gonna. One second here.
No, the rapidly rise.
Before we go into that, that's the comic relief section. So just hold on for a moment. I'm just going to clear out some of this so I don't overtax my system here. Okay, back over to the Life Force. Now again, this is the stuff that you're going to find on the app. I'm just showing it on the web page, the web page version of it. So if I look, I basically am now following 1,065. That was everyone that I could find that I was not following. I'm sure more people have joined since I went through that, but it takes a bit of effort to go through and add everyone. And what that does is when you go to your homepage, everything that anyone tweets, I'm sorry, not tweets, what do you call it now? Life forces? Whatever, we have to come up with a term. When anyone posts in Life Force, it'll appear there on your home page. So then you get the feed of everybody that's involved. After you get to 1,000, that might be quite a lot of detail coming to you. You might get a little more selective, but I definitely wanted to do that. Now, a California Assembly, I'm going to click on that. There is a meeting coming up within the next day. So the interesting thing, when I went ahead and I plugged this date in, which is August 20th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I went to a time zone generator so I wouldn't miss it, right? I missed the date. like I did last week. And then I went and made an alarm for it. When I put the alarm for 1 hour before, so I know to alert myself, it says that it's going to start in 1 day, 1 hour and 11 minutes. So 1-1-1-1-1-1. So I thought that was a very synchronistic event. So it will be a good meeting. I suggest everybody do it. Please join the different groups there. So there's assemblies for every state. Join it. So let's start getting organized. It takes our effort. So let's do that. So again, this is a comic relief section. This was very these guys put together this video of all the Joe Biden bloopers, right? And they played it on their, I guess, Zoom call or something like that, their podcast, and they're laughing along the way, and they've kind of added to it. So we're gonna go ahead and laugh along with them. It's well done. So let's listen.
With I don't know. Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
Donald Trump was asked on...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, probably best I
don't know what I was going to say.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? I would eliminate the capital gains tax. I would raise the capital gains tax. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. I commuted every single solitary day to Wilmington, Delaware, over 500 miles a day. 250 miles a day. All right, Jeff, thank you very much.
It's Chris, but anyway.
I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck. I tell you what, man, these are back to back. Anyway, I just can't figure the guy. It's like watching a yo-yo. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's like watching.
It feels that way. I want to ask.
I'm coming directly to you for ask a quick favor. And I tell you what, I'm so darn proud. And those poor people who have lost, anyway. I've been here a number of times. Last time was, I think, all the way back in 2014. But I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty?
Of course, he's in New Hampshire.
If elected, you would turn 82 at the end of your first term. You'd be the oldest president in American history. Are you willing to commit American
Churchill wasn't a president.
We should make sure that we have no one going to jail for a drug offense. They go directly mandatory prison. I would see it immediately moving toward, we're in fact in a position now that if in fact we dealt with mitigation across the board, just what we did in the last administration and before, leading to a standard that we provide efficiency for appliances. That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. Electric vehicles, in fact, the biggest problem is you can't stop to charge. We should have charging stations along every interstate highway in the country. Yeah. You pay for it just like you did gasoline. Sure. But if you can do that with bicycles in town,
bicycles running on electricity.
Play the radio. Make sure the television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there.
What is that first issue for your presidency?
The first thing I would do is make sure that we defeat Donald Trump.
You've already done that.
If we get a tax break for the racehorse, why in God's name couldn't we provide an $8,000 tax credit for everybody who has child care costs? It would put 720 million women back in the workforce.
A lot of women.
4 more years of Donald Trump will go down as an aberration. Hard to overcome the damage he's done, but we can overcome it. 8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way. The America we know will know.
We need 8 more years of Donald Trump.
By the way, this my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me. I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years. Yeah. And that I'm going to beat Joe Biden. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. Oh, yeah. And the lying dog faced pony soldier. You said you were, but you're. Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. More, they're probably anywhere from 10 to 50% of people out there that are just not very good people. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by God. You know the thing. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. I'm ready on day one after more than 3 years in office. Why isn't Donald Trump ready? Mr. President, wake up. Because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump. I'm Donald Trump, and I have.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's the comic relief for today. First of all, let me say, cognitive dissonance, old timers disease, anything affecting, how the elderly people are processing information is not funny. Right? It is sad. It's sad what's happening to Joe Biden. But it is completely appropriate to laugh at this situation, that they would put him as their nominee. It's completely legitimate to laugh at that. So I just need to make that point, because it's not funny that he's going through this, right? And we can question actually whether he actually is going through this. This is a legitimate angle. In fact, we were told way ahead of time in the number 17 movement, 17 Anon? Yeah, anyway, 17 Anon said that that Joe maybe and others may claim problems with their mental status as a reason why they can't be put on trial. But he also said it's not going to work. So I would say that they probably have plenty on Joe showing that he's very competent to stand trial, except when he's on camera. So if we want to look at what is wrong, we can look at exactly what Joe Biden is doing in treating this illness, for the elderly, in a way that basically he's showing he doesn't care, right, for the people that actually are going for this for real, if it is true that he is just faking this to get out of prosecution. All right, so anyway, that's the comic relief section. Let's carry on to the next thing. We're gonna now go over to a tweet, and this is really just about because we've had the press now asking about QAnon. Well, there I went. I said it again. 17 Anon. So hard to break from it, right? Let's see what they have to say. And thanks other for pop-up in their video. Keep the information flowing. Ask the 17 is the name of this. Ask the 17.
My toothpaste is new Pepsodent.
Stick better than any other Band-Aid.
So remember, oh, Virginia, it's the top in quality.
Tonight I'm going to talk to you about truth and about fairy tales, about justice and about injustice. In the months to follow, you're going to learn that many of the things which some of the major news agencies have been telling you are untrue.
So this segment right now is brought to you by the letter Q, specifically QAnon.
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 QAnon. QAnon. QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
Let me introduce you to QAnon. He wore shirts and signs emblazoned with only the letter Q.
Emblazoned with the letter Q. A fringe.
Fringe conspiracy theory group. Broad and often bizarre, it's difficult to believe there are people who actually believe this stuff. It takes...
And I actually believe this stuff. So I'm going to break it right there. I just want to show this is a, the question is, why are they so adamant to come up against this, across the board as part of their talking points? They all are repeating exactly the same thing. Well, let's go over and let's listen to what 17 Anon has to say. I'm using qmap.pub. There he goes with you saying the letter again. So July 31st was the last post until just on the 18th. December 17 Anon started posting again. He posted this one. Number 4621, ex-FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith pleads guilty to farce criminal case arising from the Durham probe. So Q is posting and showing that this is a placeholder, indictments tracking non-civilian, or civil maybe, set number 1. So there's more than one set we can take. So this is set 1. So there's going to be 6 in set 1. Right, and these are the placeholder indictment for tracking. So the first one is Kevin Kleinsmith. KC, or the number of each of these letters, 17 and 3. This was a confirmed 11-3 marker that all of us out here that are always trying to figure out things, we said, well, that must mean simply November 3rd. So we were thinking all this is going to come out on Election Day. Well, we were wrong, but that's okay. We have to have mental acrobatics going on so that we can figure out how things are working. So let's move on to 4622. Now this came in on the 20th of August. So why is everything RE17 being censored, banned, and attacked? Ask yourself a very simple question. Why is everything RE number 17 being censored, banned, and attacked? When do you expend ammunition, resources? So when do you expend ammunition and resources? That's when you're in the battle, when the fight is going on. This is the month of August. It's a hot month. We're leading up to the election. This is the watershed moment. Right, we're leading up to this election, and they are feeling boxed in. We talked about the stuff going on there. They thought that their way out was this mail-in ballots to basically go, because they've been cut off by the NSA from the tampering with the election machines. Right, Q. There you go again. The 17. 17 says it's that it was safe, that the elections are safe for this coming time. So it's all about getting to the next section of this Trump presidency. So they're expending ammunition now. Next is 4623. Giselle Maxwell piloted submarines, helicopters, ferrying high-profile guests to Epstein Islands, ? So Epstein Islands, who owns the surrounding islands? Close proximity. Well, we've got a nice little link here that takes us to a YouTube, and we'll go take a look at that. unique skill sets of Maxwell. What are her skills? She's a submarine pilot. Well, that's something that, you must know several people in your life that are submarine pilots, right? Well, and also helicopter pilots. If I was to think about this, I only know one person, only one in my whole life, that could pilot a helicopter. That at least I knew that they could. Right? Anyway, but submarine, nobody. What benefit might that serve? Well, that's obvious, right? It's to get children to and from the island. That's what it's about. So if we click on this, it will take us to talking about, her special abilities as a pilot, I believe. Pilot of submarines and of aircraft. And I'm sure that she has other skills.
On the stage here, we have Glenn Maxwell, founder and president of the Terramar Project, a nonprofit whose mission is to create a global ocean community to protect and promote sustainable development of the ocean. Glenn is easily one of the smartest, most fascinating people I've ever met. This is proven by the fact that she holds a bachelor's and master's degree from Oxford University, is a private helicopter pilot, a trained EMT, a qualified ROV, which I had to look up what that was, and a deep worker submarine pilot, in addition to being fluent in 4 languages. This is what I had written down before I realized that she spoke at the UN 9 times since the last time I saw her. So with that, I'd like to welcome Glenn Maxwell.
Well, all right, let's skip that. So that's talking just about what her skill sets are. All right, let's go over to the next one. 4624, Biden family lobbyists own land on Water Island, tiny island neighboring Epstein's Island. So, I believe also that Biden owns part of a submarine company. Interesting thing to own, right? So how tied in is Biden to the Epstein Island element? Now we know all about his sniffing, his grabbing, and inappropriate actions with younger children, according to everyone that sees, right? So here we go. So 2005, Joe Biden's brother bought an acre of land with an excellent ocean view on a remote island, a Caribbean island, for $150,000. He divided it into 3 parcels. The next year, a lobbyist close to the Delaware senator bought one of the parcels for $150,000, basically. So later, the lobbyist gave Biden's brother a mortgage loan on the remaining parcels. So the lobbyist gave a mortgage loan on the remaining parcels. So in other words, Joe's brother spent $150,000. The lobbyist gave him $150,000 back for buying one of 3, and then gave him more money as a loan of $150 and $150, an additional $300,000. So in essence, how much money went to Joe Biden's brother? $450,000. It's a sweet deal, isn't it? Okay, so anyway, that's we got the picture there. Let's continue on. So, panic in DC. Here's a meme. So it's just this. Sometimes we see that there's some kind of information in the names, but let's not get into that. Let's look at what this actually is saying. They never thought she would lose. 17. Panic in DC. But what's this at the bottom? In theaters now. So basically Q is saying there's panic in DC now. This movie is playing. All right. So next one, 4626, 5th column. So what is the 5th column? So when we read right here, the 5th column is any group of people who undermine a larger group from within, usually in favor of an enemy group or nation. The activities of a fifth column can be overt or clandestine. Forces gathered in secret can mobilize openly and assist in an external attack. So that's basically what we've been dealing with Antifa and the Black Lives Matter, or really any of these other efforts, major efforts to take over the whole political process. So we have all of the Democratic Party, we have a significant portion of the Republican Party that have become the fifth column. And what are they supporting? Now, in my first article, Worldwide Civil War, Us versus Them, I outlined how you take the path to the dark side. So did they all join government? Good people, maybe, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, good people coming into politics, and they start down this road. And what has been all the rage in Washington or in politics around the world, right? It was about globalism. Now, it was about the United Nations and supporting the efforts of the United Nations. It was about the World Economic Forum. It was about the G20, the G7, the G whatever. This globalist point of view seems a very positive thing if you think, hey, well, the whole world has to come together, right? And it's okay if the countries become less important, right? Because we are going to have a global government. So the people that buy into this within, say, the U.S. government, say, in the State Department, they work towards that goal, which is against the country's efforts, the country's individual efforts. Now, you can make the argument and say that, well, it's a good thing to bring the world together. But if the ones that are bringing it together are forcing it, and also while they're forcing it, they're also stealing the money, removing money from the lower steps of the pyramid and moving it up to the top, this is not a true agenda of unity. This is a parasitic organization. It's a globalist parasitic organization. So the fifth column are those people that went down that road, and in the front of their mind and in the back of their mind, they think that they're doing the right thing. They think that they are good. But even though those other really bad things that they don't get involved with, they hear about, say, well, or they basically just can't believe it, they deny it. The pedivores, the satanic rituals, they don't absorb that, right? But they still go along with it because everyone else around them they're all doing the same globalist agenda. So who is going to be the ones killed in this are going to be the majority of the people of the world as they depopulate, because they can't handle so many people. The herd's too big. They want to chop it back because they can't control it. They can't control it. They're not in control. They're not at the top of the pyramid. And they want to get to the top. So that's what the fifth column is. It's not just about a bunch of people trained in foreign country camps, though that does exist. It's about the mentality and the thought patterns of those people that, all with good intentions, joined into government, joined into law enforcement, joined into politics, joined into industry. Take industry, for example, manufacturing. They all thought it was really a great idea for the American people to take their manufacturing jobs and move them to China. Why did they think that? Globalist thinking. Doesn't matter who works, right? As long as some gets manufactured, what difference it make over here, over there? Well, the difference is that over there, people have no rights. People are then put into a position of slave labor. Do you think if that's what they're supporting and it goes worldwide, that it's not going to be slave labor everywhere? So no, that is not a good plan. This is something that we have to basically fight against. All right, that's the fifth column. Let's move on to Steve Bannon. We talked about that a bit. I'm just closing down some of the links here. Make sure we get cleared up. All right. That's the one of the Pettivore Islands.
Secure, and this happened about a mile away from the main gates to the house.
They did it again, my friends. The video I just put up earlier today. It was up for maybe a half hour or so, and then it was yanked down. I send off a complaint that says you're clearly violating the Section 230 immunity.
And that's another one. This is remember I had that kind of the soft strike against the one video they removed. This guy was explaining how he's challenging them on one of the regulations that they are violating in their own terms of service, and he put it in legal terms, and the video came right back up. So I actually took down that information where he basically said this in the lower left-hand box here. It says mocking politicians, painting platitudes on the street while the city is on fire as an inappropriate content. That's what he's saying. Why is my stuff inappropriate? Then he says, this is a flagrant abuse of your Section 230 immunity clause. That's the legal terminology that he uses to basically tell people, hey, you're in violation of your own rules. So that's legal terminology. You pass that back. His videos came right back up. So something good to know. So I'm going to use this as part of when this next happens, is use this terminology, because I'm not going to be doing anything that would be against what the general content would be. All right, so let's scroll up here to the top of this. So this is who is Gao Wengji, the Chinese billionaire who owns the boat Steve Bannon was on when he was arrested. So basically, Steve Bannon was on this Chinese billionaire boat. Now, the Chinese have been after this billionaire to get him repatriated back to China, and they would probably kill him. So he was arrested, right? So I went through this. This is Bannon arrested by federal agents, so this is, federal. Booked into jail on fraud charges. And if we go through this, it says, last month, investigators with the Mercer Island Police Department in Washington State took an incident report from an unidentified victim, victim who had become an investor in GTV Media Group, Inc., with the promise it was launching a video sharing platform similar to YouTube that was supposed to go huge. According to the official familiar with this matter, the investor wired $500,000 to receive shares in the company at the end of May, but never received the shares and wasn't able to get in contact with the reported suspect, the report stated. As of July 10th, local authorities noted no crime had been charged and the FBI was investigating the matter. Okay, so NBC News was pointing to this deal. a competitor to YouTube by Steve Bannon. Seems like a legitimate thing Steve Bannon would want to get into, right? So, and then they're talking about, of course, the billionaire, and he's being on this boat. So that's that. So let's now go over to this. This is now the Guardian, an article, and how it's basically talking about what Steve Bannon pled not guilty to. The former campaign manager, Steve Bannon, pleaded not guilty on Thursday, hours after being arrested on a luxury yacht for allegedly skimming donations from an online fundraising campaign for the president's controversial border wall in Mexico. Using nonprofit organization he controlled, Bannon received $1 million from the We Build the Wall online campaign, at least some of which he used to cover hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal expenses. So what they actually are, now NBC is reporting one thing, right? And Bannon's pleading not guilty to something completely different. So is Steve Bannon making a YouTube competitor? Is he raising the money to do that? Well, I'd say probably is. Could there be some event that basically caused the shares, now this is talking in May, so we're talking May, June, July, August, so we're talking 3 months ago, they were supposed to be issuing the shares. Now, could there have been a problem? I have no idea what actually has happened, but there could have been a problem, and there could have been also reply. Remember, this billionaire and Steve Bannon went out on a boat, or maybe probably that same one. It didn't seem like it was a small boat that they were on, right near, in front of the Statue of Liberty, and talked about basically made a declaration of a new government of China, a federation which would include Taiwan and Hong Kong and Nepal, and Tibet. Sorry, not Nepal. And that this would be a new federation that was a democracy, right? And so this would be something that would be in place instead of the Chinese Communist Party. So do you think that the Chinese may think of Steve Bannon as an enemy? Do you think the timing of this arrest of Steve Bannon being just 3 months before the election would cast some shadow on Trump? You bet they're trying to make that happen. You bet that they want to make sure that everyone sees this as some kind of bad thing Trump is doing. Now, I personally have good feelings about Steve Bannon. He's a renegade. He's a rebel. He's trying to make the world a different place, and I think for the better. He was someone who's made a lot of money on Wall Street and also in making his own gaming company, like a video gaming, and ran that out of China, right? And made a company in China, and so there's a lot of stuff that Steve Bannon has done. He's made a lot of money. I don't think that he's really the guy that's going to be trying to skim anything off. So they're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in this one. So what he was actually charged with is on this border wall thing, which is also a sore spot for the globalists, right? Stop the ability to move things across the border freely. So I think this is a setup to attack Steve Bannon and Trump. That's what I think. I don't know for certain, but it's my impression that I think that they're just doing this as a way to paint Trump as being part of something underhanded, because they can't get him on anything else. So now they're going after Steve Bannon, just like they went after Roger Stone, just like they went after Carter Page, just like they go after anyone that is associated with Trump, and they try and label him as something else. Paul Manafort, for example, they used a fictitious black book, right? They made it up, right? That they actually made up the evidence to get Paul Manafort. And the guy's still in jail, in solitary confinement. Why would they do that? Why would they put him in solitary? Such a danger to the rest of the population. So this all stinks, right? So they're using everything that they can. So anyway, I'm in support of Steve Bannon. I don't think that he's done the things that they've said. If he raised he raised $1 million for a border wall at the time that this happened, Trump basically distanced himself from it, right? Trump distanced himself from Bannon today in replying about this, and basically said he hasn't, talked with him since, he left the White House in the beginning of his term. So this was just an attempt to get at Trump and label him as dirty. Steve Bannon is an enemy. He's the first individual, not a country, first individual that the Chinese Communist Party labeled as enemy of the state. As an individual, that's something you should think that there's some, this is almost a badge of honor. I think Steve Bannon would wear that as a badge of honor, being considered the enemy of the state of the CCP. So do you think that they're not going to go after when he's hanging out with their number one, billionaire out there in the world that's trying to get rid of them and replace them? So I think that's what this is all about, quite frankly. Okay. So I think that's about it. Let me just see if there's any questions in their group. Nothing. We only have Bill Barr is a helicopter pilot. Okay. And he's a comedian. Okay. Well, that's. Oh, maybe I read that wrong. It's Bill Burr. B-U-R. I thought it was Bill Barr, like William Barr, the Attorney General. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. So, a digital nomad investor made that comment. Well, that's all we have for comments there. So again, I will encourage you, please give donations. I'm definitely still in need. I've got to cover some things over the next few days. Do what you can. Contact me by email. My email is down below if you need. abundancemind@protonmail.com, or Telegram is the best way to reach me. Also information down below, or the YouTube link is down. I'm sorry, PayPal link is down below. And make sure to get onto the assembly meeting, especially if you're in California. Let's meet in that meeting for a Zoom meeting that's going to be happening in about a day from now. So there's a lot to do, so we got to get moving. Thank you for all that you've been doing so far, and we will see you.